Hi there, it's Greg Gunther here from the Podiatry Hive. Strategy. What is strategy? We talk a lot about strategy, but what exactly is it, and what are the sorts of frameworks that we could use to actually help derive our strategy? Essentially, strategy is really about direction for our business. So what I would like to talk you through is a bit of a framework, and there's really five questions that we need to answer if we're thinking about strategy for our business. If you can answer these 5 questions successfully and with some clarity, it really does provide you a great toolkit or a framework to drive your business forward. The very first thing we need to think about is actually our aspirations. So what are our aspirations? So what are the sorts of things it is that we aspire to achieve? Now you might want to set a time frame, but maybe we're thinking here in terms of 2 years, 3 years, and that's typically the sort of time frames we talk about. But what are the sort of aspirations that we have that we want to achieve over that time frame? So it might be, for example, that within 2 to 3 years' time, I want to be in a position in my practice where it's not reliant on me anymore. Perhaps I'm only practicing a percentage of the time that I am now. It could be that you're actually off tools altogether. So you're in a position where you can actually work more on your business than you are perhaps in your business. So that could be one. It might be that you want to achieve a certain level of turnover. It might be that you want to achieve a certain level of profit. So these are the sort of things that we need to think about when we're talking about aspiration. The next thing we need to think about when we're talking about these 5 questions, the second question really then is, where will we play? And what we mean by that is, where is it that we're actually going to be doing our business? Now we can think here about our customers. Now what are the sort of patients we want to be dealing with? Do we want to be generalists and work with general treatment, biomechanical, have a blend of those? Or do we want to specialise? Do we want to actually maybe steer the business more towards biomechanical type work? So it's the type of patient that we want to work with. It could also be geographical. It might be, do we want to have more than one site? If we have one site or more than one site, where do we want those sites to be? So where will we actually play to win? The next thing we need to think about then is, once we've answered those 2 questions, is how will we win? So here is when we start to think about, what are the sorts of things that we need to be putting in place. So at this stage, we're not thinking about any of our limitations. We're thinking here about, what sort of resources, for example, maybe do we need to put in place? Or is there certain things that we need to do with our premises? Maybe we don't have capacity to get towards what we're aspiring to achieve. So all of these things need to be thought about in this how will we win stage. The next question then is, if they are our aspirations and we've worked out where we're going to play and we've worked out how we're going to win, the next thing is capabilities. Because it could well be, at this point in time when we're actually doing this, that we've seen some limitations in terms of our capabilities. So with capabilities, it might be, if we're wanting to maybe skew perhaps towards biomechanical work, do we need to actually start to skill some people up in that space? Or do we need to be recruiting more into that space? It could be if we've got some limitations around our premises, do we need to search for new premises? Or do we need to try and identify ways that we can actually expand that? So capabilities are very important to understand how we can actually do these things. Once we've done that, the last question, the 5th question is basically, what are the sort of systems and processes that we need to put in place in order for us to actually support and do these things? So this could be things like, what are the key performance measures that we need to put in place? What are the metrics that we need to be measuring? Do we need software support and the like? So at all points across this, so if you like, you can think of this as a cascade, and it's continually cascading down through the process, and we're digging deeper as we go. But it's important once we get to that point of getting down to that last stage that these are all linked backwards. So, do our systems actually support the capabilities that we've set for ourselves that we need to achieve? Do our capabilities actually focus in on how we're going to win? In terms of how we're going to win, is that actually supporting where it is that we want to play? And lastly, at the end of this 2 to 3 year period that we're planning for, will we achieve our aspirations? It's a really good framework. I'd encourage you to think about that and put some time into working out things.